Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studio. It has been a while since I have been live. Give me just a second to get all my other information available. Make sure I'm live on your screens as well as my own. Yes, there we are. So I came home from my vacation and got sick as can be. Lost my voice for a week, coughing like crazy. And it was not a pretty picture for me to do a live, so today is the first day that I have felt even remotely close to normal, like I could talk on camera without choking. So I came on and decided to do a live early so that we could get me before something went wrong. Let me get my comments on. All right, so it is very early for me. I'm rarely on this early, especially on a Saturday, but I thought maybe y'all be relaxing at home for your Labor Day weekend and we might do some fun projects to finish up the summer. So as you remember, I was in Cape Cod for, 10, 11 glorious days on the beach every day, and it was amazing. One of the things that happened while I was there is I found this wonderful place where this man sells wonderful cast iron creatures. We have, I think I showed them to you before. I probably primed them all and had shown you. But we have Leaf Man, which is also commonly known as Green Man. And you can see I've already started to paint him. We'll do that another day. I gotta move him out of the way. Gosh, he's heavy. And then we had our sun hook, which you can see I've already worked on, and our dragonflies, which again you can see I began work on. And today we're going to continue work on the sun hook and the dragonflies. We're going to use gold leaf. We've used Japanese silver leaf. We're going to do some flash gilding. We're going to finish up the regular gilding. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff on this, and we're going to work with our Roberson's acrylic gold size, which is truly the finest water-based gold leaf size I've ever worked with. That's why we now carry it. If I had found one that was better, I would have been carrying that one, but no, this one is fantastic. It comes to the exact same tack, well, I shouldn't say exact, as close to the tack level of oil-based size as I have ever experienced. I mean, it is nearly identical. And it doesn't have that bubbly gummy texture that a lot of water-based gold leaf size has. It just settles down nicely to the surface and bonds beautifully. So we're going to work with that. We're going to work with our Whitson's leaf lacquer. After I show you how we clean and prep for that, we're going to use do some flash gilding. We're going to do some fun stuff. So let me angle my camera down, and sorry for the hovering over there. I just need to get it angled to my table. I need to get it angled so that I can reach it and you can see it. All right, that should do it. Get my big hulking shadow out of the way. Let me move my light a little closer, which will, I know, help. There, get it a little brighter too. All right, so the first thing we're going to work on, and let me make sure it's close enough for you all to see, and let me move the dragonflies out of the way. I might want to angle that up just a little more. There we go. Alrighty. It still looks a little far away to you, but there we go. We should see this one. Can you gold leaf on glass and seal it? Dana, the techniques for verglas, which is gilding on glass, are a little different than using oil-based size, but as a general rule, yes, you can apply an oil-based size on glass, gild it, and seal it on the back with shellac. But I think that's a more complicated discussion than you're wanting right now. I think you might be asking for more details than I'm actually giving you. So, hi Amy. So if you ask a much more specific question, are you trying to gild on the outside of a wine glass, or are you trying to gild on the back of glass to create a mirror, I will have a better answer for you. Let me move my camera out, my phone out of the way so that you can see better what's going on and I don't touch it by mistake and make very weird things happen. All right, so let me move that there. We're more centered. You can see what I'm doing. And then if I push it out of the way, I won't touch it like I just did and have the screen do funny things. All right, so this one, I have already gilded the majority of it, but you can see there's spots that I missed. Cast iron is not a smooth surface. It's kind of pitted and pebbly. So I knew that when I did this the first time, I might have spots that I missed. Plus, I didn't do a very good job of applying my size along the edges here. So we're going to use some gold that I got. It's actually, I think, from India. And I think it's 20 karat. So I'm also going to the Society of Gilders convention in 2 weeks. I'm going to be representing products there, so I'm kind of in a gilding frame of mind. I'm taking a little bit of Vaseline, rubbing it on my arm. If you're oily skinned, you don't have to do this. I am dry as a bone, but you have to rub it in really, really well. This tool is called a gilder's tip. It's usually made out of squirrel hair, but it can be made out of badger hair for different needs. It can be also made out of sable. I have a sable one. It's gorgeous to work with, but it's not the one I work with every day because I get stuff stuck in it. So you can see I have a little piece of stuff stuck right here. And I'm trying to get that out without pulling out the hairs and making my own life harder. There we go. So you take the gold. This is a lambskin pad. You need to be in a very calm mood to do this because gold is very light. It's very different from composition gold leaf. This is real gold. It is much thinner, therefore much lighter, and far more likely to blow away. So now I take my gilder's tip, I brush it against where the Vaseline was on my arm, and I lift the gold up with it. And I carefully place it where I know I need size. Now there you can see there's a little bit of air moving here. You see how that's blowing? So I can see if I can block it with my body. We have a dehumidifier running on in here because it's been really freaking annoying lately. Now, I don't need that whole piece on there, so I'm going to take my skewings brush, tamp it down, try to tear it off a little bit. Now, normally my hands are dry, but it's hot, so I'm a little sweaty. And let me see if I can pull that extra bit of gold off here and stick it back down. Or if it's going to stick to my finger, which it might. That's not normally how I do things. Normally I just pull it off with my fingers, it sits right back down, and nothing sticks to my fingers. As you can see, normally that's how it works right there with that piece. I'm going to take a little bit more. I have a knife. I could cut this. I don't feel like being that fancy. This is a little more casual the way I'm doing it today. I'm just pulling up pieces of gold leaf and applying it. Well, that just blew itself right onto where it needed to go, so that's okay. Excuse me, you're going to hear me coughing a little bit now on. You know what, I am going to get my knife out because I do need to cut some smaller pieces with this. I thought I was going to make it easier by not having it out, but I was wrong. This is called a gilder's knife. Looks a little like a cake spreader, only it has been sharpened. So you take the gold out, you put it on the pad. Now these are very small pieces compared to the way gold leaf normally comes. Gold leaf usually comes in 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch pieces, not as big as composition leaf, but generally not as small as this. I didn't know that when I ordered what I was getting. That's why it was so cheap. I was like, oh gosh, that gold price is really, really good. Now I know why. It's because they were giving me little tiny pieces. Now, as most of you know, I don't gild for perfection. I don't work with the idea of getting everything flawless. I know there are many gilders who do. I am a much more casual gilder. I guess that would be the phrase. Because I kind of like the way the breaks in the metal look and stuff. Not everybody likes that. If you want flawless gilding, there are people who do that. Hi Patricia and Barbara, thank you for stopping in. So I'm going to pick up my gold and drop it. I'm so dry that even the Vaseline's not letting me pick things up. So you can see it's just dropping off my tip, which it shouldn't do. But if you have really dry skin like I do, even the Vaseline soaks in really fast, so you don't always get a great grab on your gilder's tip. Come on, let go. All right. And playing with the tip and everything, it takes practice, and I really like it. It's not easy to do when I'm talking because even the talking moves the gold around. Should probably be picking it up with my fingers since my fingers are more moist than my arm is. Boy, I gotta go back for a little more Vaseline. I love when this happens. It's super annoying to me. Literally, you can't see the Vaseline on my skin. It's not a thick slick, it's just a thin sheen. You just need a little bit of the oil of it on your brush, your tip, so that it grabs the gold leaf, but lets it go easily. Now, I know some people don't pull the knife all the way through the gold. I do. It's probably a knife habit from cutting other things. Some people just use their knife and press into it, and that's enough to break the gold. Somehow that never works for me. Somebody will ask, because they always do, how do I know when I have too much Vaseline or moisture on my arm that gets on my tip? That's very easy. When all the gold sticks into here and doesn't come off on your surface. And yes, I've had that happen. That's why sometimes you see little bits of gold in my tip. Little one that wants to blow. Oh, come on, you little stinker. Now, I know people who are oily skinned who don't even need to use any moisture added on. They just take their tip and run it along their jawline, and their oils from their own skin are enough to grab up the gold and have it set on their surface. That's never going to be me. Let's take a little more. We got a little more to do along here. We're going to finish up this gilding. I'm going to shift it around just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And then we'll go on to the next process. Hey Kay and Sharon, nice to see you here. Thanks for popping in. So again, taking little tiny pieces of gold and just touching up the spots that I know I missed earlier. Okay, let's see some over there. Now I took a double piece here because I missed a whole edge right here. And I'm not very proud of that. Let's move this so I can see. Yeah, I've got some right along here to get. Going right there. Sometimes I use my fingers to help. You're really not supposed to, but I have never done anything completely the way I'm supposed to do it anyway. A little piece here. Now, that wants to just stay connected. So, I'm going to take my skewings brush and just sort of tamp it in there and hope it'll break off. It didn't. So let's see what I can do to manipulate that. Down where I want it. You really don't want to get your fingers in there if you can avoid it, because it will stick more to your fingers than to the surface you're trying to gild. All right, just a little more and then we're done. I'll show you how we remove the skewings, and then we'll clean it for the leaf lacquer. And we'll be ready to move on. Now I do have gilder's tips that are smaller than this that would probably be easier to work with some of the pieces that I'm working with that are so small, but this is the one I had out. It doesn't bother me to use a larger one, so I'm using the larger one. I have one that's about half the width of this. I have a whole bunch of tips. Oh, this does not want to grab. There we go. Let's take some peeks as to where I know there's some missing stuff. There's that. get at that. Oh my goodness, it's being so stubborn today. My skin is so dried out from spending a week at the beach. No, that's not a complaint. I'd go back in a heartbeat. Okay, so I've got all the gold on there that I want to get on. I'll take all my little extra pieces. There's not much of this color left. I have a whole bunch of these that I ordered. Like I said, I ordered it and it came from India. And I ordered it years ago, and I had no idea how big the pieces were going to be when I ordered it. I just thought, wow, what a great price. Now I know why. Let's make sure I get any little hairs out of there. First, I take my skewings brush and I tamp down all the pieces of gold so it's adhered to the surface. And then I start using it to gently remove all the extra little bits, all this little stuff that you're going to start seeing flying off of here, rolling off, are called skewings. Now, if I did a lot of gilding, if that's all I did every day, 24/7, I would be saving all of these little skewing bits into a cup. Then I would be heating them to burn off all the impurities, like all these little hairs that are in here, and melting it down and creating more gold to work with. I actually just watched somebody do that on a video the other day. It's very cool to watch how it just burns out the hair and the dirt and the impurities because they forge it so high. And it was an awesome thing to watch. And then they came back and they had a whole lot of little tiny gold nuggets and pebbles and stuff. It was really cool. Unfortunately, I don't do that, so I do this. I take mine, I brush it out of the way. All right, the next thing I'm going to use, this is a kind of a cool tool that I picked up at one of the conventions. It's called, actually I think I ordered it online. It's called the Goldfather Burnishing Pad. And really what this is a piece of sponge in here, foam sponge, like for furniture or bedding or something, and then it's covered in velvet and it has a little handle on it. And you come in here and you can easily clean off any extra skewings but not damage the gold. And I think that's a very cool thing. I love this tool. It's called the Goldfather. It comes from, let me find a card, Chicago Sign Company, or Chicago Gold Sign Company. Very cool. I keep it in the box so I don't lose it, because if I ever need one of these things, it's easier to find the card in the box than have to go through another internet hunt to find it. So if you're a gilder and you like doing this sort of thing, a Goldfather is a very cool tool. Because it's velvet, so it's not scratching up my gold. I'm not doing any damage. The size is already covered in gold, so it's not getting any size on it. And by the way, for those not familiar with it, size is another word for adhesive in this situation. Size means a lot of things. When you size clothing, it's a material you put on fabric to keep it stiff so that you can cut it and make it easier to sew. But when we're talking about gold leaf, size is another word for the type of adhesive you're using. Okay, so now I got that all done. Make sure I go over the back because there's always little loose bits on the back. Okay, so look how wonderful that is. This had actually originally been painted with gold Rust-Oleum, And I painted right over that because the gold Rust-Oleum looked so fake to me. I didn't like it at all. And that's probably because I am a gilder and I like things that look real. Hey, Elaine and MJ and Robert and Karen, thank you for coming in and watching with us. Okay, so now we're done here. We have burnished all of this off. Get all my little bits and pieces out of here. The next thing we have to do is we have to clean it to prepare it to be have the gold leaf lacquer applied. Our water-based lacquer from Whitson's. The Universal Lacquer is a wonderful product. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of cheesecloth and I'm going to dampen it. I don't need it wringing wet. I just need it dampened. Okay? And I'm going to take a little bit. Now, this is not the bottle, obviously. This is Blue Dawn dish soap. Whitson's makes their own pH neutral cleaner, and in the UK they use Fairy dishwashing liquid, which is also pH neutral. Here in the US, Blue Dawn dish soap, no other, not Palmolive, not Ajax, none of the other colors of Dawn are pH neutral. Blue Dawn dish soap is what you want to use, not dishwasher detergent, not anything else. That's what you want to use, because then especially over a metal that tarnishes like silver or copper or composition leaf, you need a pH neutral cleaner so it won't alter the color of the metal. So the reason we do this is that all metals, when they have been manufactured, there is a little tooling oil on it. My hands have been on it. You saw that I used a gilder's tip that had a little Vaseline on it. You need to remove all of those oils from here so that you don't have any sissing happening, meaning it doesn't bead up on you when you're applying the leaf lacquer. Okay, I've cleaned this all off. If you get a little bit of sissing happening after the cleaning, put on a pair of nitrile gloves or a couple of finger cots and just massage it a little bit, because you don't want it to dry with the sissing happening. All right, I've done that. That's clean. Now I have to wipe it off so that I don't leave soap residue behind. And all I'm using is cheesecloth. This is our pre-cut, pre-washed, lint-free cheesecloth. And again, I'm going back over the surface. I'm wiping it off so that there's no soapy residue left behind. Make sure I get all of that off of there. Get out from in between things. Again, a little moisture. I'm probably even more thorough in my rinsing off than I am in my cleaning, just because I don't want any soap left behind. That is like a thing for me. I don't know why. And then you let this dry. Normally you want it to dry a minimum of an hour. Overnight is easy, just because you don't want any residual moisture left on here. I'm going to set this over by our dehumidifier, which will have it dry very quickly. And we'll come back to it in a little bit. I got a little bit of this on here. So now we're going to go to our dragonflies. Now on the dragonflies, on the wings, I use Japanese colored silver. Japanese colored silver is different than regular silver. It's brittle. If you look at these pieces, I'm going to pull a piece of this out. It's been treated and it's brittle. It doesn't like to lift up with a gilder's tip. I usually use my fingers or a tweezer, and instead of folding and going into creases easily, it's brittle and it breaks. You can see how jagged this looks. It's very cool to work with, but you have to expect that it does not bend and fold and flip as nicely and easily as regular gold leaf does. So on this guy, we're going to take a little bit of mica powder. Now I have already, I've done my wings, as you can see, and I've applied, again, Roberson's acrylic gold leaf size on every other segment of the back of it, and on the eyes, and up here on the body. I'm sorry, I'm not a bug person, so I don't know all the names beyond maybe calling something a thorax. And since I don't want to mess it up, y'all who are into bugs can figure that one out. And I take makeup brushes. Now, I bought a bunch of these years and years ago at a beauty convention, and I use them exclusively for mica powder. We're going to take Perfetto's Blue Pearl product. Perfetto makes a line called Blue Pearl. I do not sell this product. And they make metal powders and mica powders, and they're wonderful for doing some of this. So we're going to just take a little bit of this, and then we're going to gild the other segments. So I'm going to take this blue metallic powder, and it will stick wherever I burnish it to the adhesive, and this technique is called flash gilding. Be careful with this. You don't want to inhale it. It's not good for your lungs. Now it's going to look very silvery gray on here because of the black undercolor, but it will pick up the blue. And I did do the undersides of this so I can get the back of the tail and everything. And this is a really, really nice way just to add some metallic shimmer to something if you don't want to use leaf. And I have these powders, I have them in metallic gold. I have them, for example, I have this as metallic gold, and it's very, very gold, as you can see where it just shed a little bit right there. Excuse me if I stop talking every once in a while. I am still recovering, so I'm trying not to burn my voice out completely in one afternoon. So that makes a beautiful segment. Now we're going to do some gilding on these other segments, and we're going to flash gild the legs. So all of this is going to have a total metallic finish, but these are made out of cast iron, and I love the way the texture works with the Japanese silver leaf here. It gives a lot of that dimpling that the cast iron has gives a lot of extra reflective surfaces. All right, now we have one that I did in metallic green Japanese silver leaf. So we're going to close up the blue. And we're going to use highlight green because that's what I got. Again, made by Perfetto. Wipe my brush off so I don't pick up any extra blue. Again, this will look a little silvery. Until you realize that there is a green highlight to it. So again, we're going to flash gild all of this back here. And I'll take a look in a second, see if anybody's got any questions. Now, these are made by Blue Pearl. On the back of this jar, and I don't know if it's still a valid website, it says bluepearlpaint.com. It used to be a division of Perfetto. You can still check. or you can order things like mica powders from sepleaf.com or gildedplanet.com or God, there's so many gilding materials sites. I have to think. W&B Gold Leaf. Gosh. Now, I don't carry these because you all haven't been looking for me to carry them. But if you want me to carry them, start letting me know. And I'll make sure that I have them in stock. But I'm not carrying stuff that nobody seems to have a demand for. Now, a jar like this, especially the way I use it, will last you years. Years. I've used this kind of technique on walls. I've done this on furniture. I've done this on everything you can imagine. Okay, so the next thing now that we're going to do is we're going to gild or put the size on, excuse me, the other parts of the body. Now, the nice thing with the Robersons, it sets up in 15 to 20 minutes. It's very easy to work with. It's machine washable. It's water soluble, so you can wash it out with soap and water. You can even tint this a little tiny bit if you need it, if you're on a white surface and you need to know where your size has gone. Now, I'm just going to do this because now that it's all stuck there, I don't have to worry about my hands being on it yet. I'm not going to use one of those brushes. That would be a bad choice. Let me come back over here and get one of my other brushes. And I'm going to come back in and we're going to paint the parts that I didn't apply it to before. Now, the product, as you can see, very thin. And that means you don't need to apply a whole lot of it. As you can see, I'm going to get the majority of this done with just one dip, because if I use more, it's going to be runny and globby, and that's not what I want to have happen. I want to brush it into the surface, and I don't want to have drips. You don't want it pooling in spots because that just makes a mess later. Now, I should have done this upside down first because now I have to hold this. It made my life easier if I'd done the underside first, but I didn't think of that because we were on camera. And I was just thinking about getting this done. So you can see how a very little bit of this goes a very, very, very long way. Let's get up under here too. I think I'm going to do the legs in gold, not gold metal, but in the gold metallic powder. So I'm holding off on gilding the legs the last. And this time I'm being smart and doing it on the bottom first. As you saw, it took almost no product at all just to do this area because it's so thin. Let's turn it this way, just a little bit, start at the tail. right, we're going to set those two aside, let them dry, and we're going to come back to our Golden Sun. Now I left my left my lacquer over across the way because I'm not that smart. It was the one thing I managed to forget today. All right. This is, if I can get it open today. Sorry for the banging. Oh, it's good and sealed up. This always happens to me. Okay, let me see if there's any questions. That's not, you have a question about foil, which is not the same as the products we're working with today, Barb. Some foils handle UV well, some foils do not. I have personally found that things like purples and blues do not hold up to being in sunlight as well as some of the others, although I will say that my blue-green tie-dye foil that I carry here, I did a table, left it outside for a full year, not one bit of a problem with it. The colors looked great a year later, even if the table didn't. Okay, so this is Whitson's Universal Lacquer. It's specifically designed for metals and the metals that tarnish. It is the only water-based top coat that can go on composition, variegated gold, silver, copper, true metals that tarnish. It's the only one I've ever worked with that does not alter the color. The only thing it ever seems to alter at all is, that's the wrong brush. Hang on a second, folks. There's one I want. The only thing it ever seems to alter at all is variegated pink leaf. And that's because the copper is the most reactive to tarnishable metals, when the way that variegated leaf is made. So Barb, I hope I answered your question. If you want to make your foils, which is not what we're working with here, if you want to make your foils, this product, which is foils, you can see that the pattern is mounted on the back of a film, last longer in sunlight. You want a top coat that has UV protectant in it. And if you're interested in top coats with UV protectants, Faux Effects makes them. They are a special order product. They don't carry them pre-made. They add them as ordered. They add the UV protectant as ordered. All right, so the point of having this completely dry is so that there is no moisture underneath it. All right, let me move things around a little bit. There we go. So that there's no moisture underneath this that would possibly tarnish or discolor the real metal. Now, like I said, normally you want to let it dry for at least an hour, and then you want to come back and you want to apply the leaf lacquer, our Whitson's Universal Lacquer for leaf and metals. We've had this sitting over by a dehumidifier, so that has helped it dry substantially. And this is a wonderful water-based product. It's very beautiful to work with. It has lovely self-leveling properties. It will cause a slight whitish discoloration when you first apply it. Then as it dries clear, you will have your full luster of the metal. Now, true gold does not necessarily have to be top coated because it's non-tarnishable, and especially outside, the top coats can fade and go bad faster than the metal. But for something that might be handled a lot like this, a hook used a lot, you want a top coat on it. to protect it from being scratched off the surface. Now, I've done things and put them outside, 2 coats of this on gold leaf outside, and it holds up super, super well. I have a gilded Buddha in my backyard that first I gilded for years ago, and then, excuse me, then I tested the leaf lacquer out on it. It's been sitting outside in the weather for the better part of a year. It's holding up beautifully, no discoloration, no tarnishing, no cracking, no nothing. You do want 2 coats, however, because 1 coat you might have micro fissures come in because of the expansion and contraction with heat and cold. The 2nd coat prevents that from happening, and you get a beautiful finish. And I knew I pulled a little piece of leaf out of that corner that I couldn't get any other way. And as you can see, the cleaning worked perfectly. I don't have any sissing. So the reason you don't want this to be wet with regular water, regular tap water can cause discoloration. You want it to be completely dry. You don't want water trapped under this to cause discoloration on tarnishable metals like silver and white gold and copper and variegated leaf and stuff like that. Takes very little. It's a beautiful product. It has lovely self-leveling properties. This is not an inexpensive top coat because I'm importing it from the UK. But I have truly never found anything like this. You can even, and for those of you who are Fofex people who know that product line, you can use this to top coat foam metal, which nothing works to top coat it. It makes it change colors, makes it do weird things. This can top coat foam metal. I have tested it. And there you go, beautifully coated. Little bit dulled right now because this has got a slight whitish cast, being a water-based product, but come back in a couple hours, it will be beautifully dry. Now, I don't think our size will be set up yet enough, but I will check it out. I know that one won't be because that's the second one I did. Let me check the adhesive. It's a little gummy, but maybe we might be able to work with it. Let me check for questions. Hi, Jonda. Nice to see you here. Thanks for coming in. Because I really would like to use a little bit of little gold leaf on this, and I'm not sure if we're not a little sticky. With the dehumidifier going right now, we might be okay. I'm checking the adhesive levels. So let's go back to some gold here. I think we're going to do this one in gold, and this one we would do in a little bit of this metallic Japanese blue silvered leaf. Colored, I'll show you the difference in playing with the colored leaf versus playing with the other leaf. So I'm going to use up the last of this gold. We'll play with this. And I think we should be ready. Let me turn it over. Let me see if I've got... I'm checking the tackiness. If it's too sticky, too gummy feeling, then it's not ready to go. But we're okay right now because I have that dehumidifier going on. So I'm going to drop this over here. I'm going to roll it around the tail. And move this one back. I don't want to accidentally get any of that on here. to take, oops, this piece, drop it over the upper body. And maybe I'll just play with that with my fingers, grab it down to the tail there. Again, normally you're not playing with gold with your fingers. Okay. Let me find my skewings brush, tamp this all down. And then let me roll this guy over. Get the underside of the tail. And I need a little more to get in here on the body. Again, tamping it down, and you can see that it's sort of breaking in these spots where the joint is. And so that might be a touch-up spot for me later, it might not be. But you can also see how, as I go along, where I have the mica powder, the gold is not adhering. And as I continue to burnish it, the blue mica powder is exposed, and it actually now looks much more blue. Let me take my little gold father out here. Skewings brush a little bit. I mean, seriously, look how cool that looks. It's now starting to look like a piece of jewelry. It's so pretty. And I don't mind if a little of the gold grabs in funny places here and there where it might have been a little broken on the blue. It's really not, though. I just need to clean it out of there. Look how jewelry-like this piece of cast iron starts to become. Isn't that pretty? Look how pretty that is. Let me zoom in a little bit. That is so super pretty. I'm loving that. Now, should we go with the gold on here, or should we go do with the blue? That's a hard question because it looked so good with the gold on the other one. I may just change my mind instead of going with the Japanese silver leaf. Oh, you got your, Dana just got her size and her leaf lacquer last night. Okay, so as you can see, I'm glad you're getting a kick out of this. This is working perfectly for me too. These were projects that I promised myself I was going to do when I came back from the beach. But I love how this looks with the gold and the blue. So I'm trying now to decide whether I'm going to pick up this blue and do it on the body, or if I'm going to go stay with the gold. And honestly, I can't decide. So if somebody's got an idea, hey Maddie, if somebody has any thoughts, I'm going to give you a second to come up with your ideas on it. Let me know what you think. Should I go gold like I did here, or should I take this blue and do it on this body? I can show you how I work with a little bit of the Japanese silver leaf. I'll sweep up a little bit while you all are thinking and putting in your input, because I really can't decide. Let me know what you think. Okay, Dana says blue. So, okay. Since I've cleaned up and Dana's is the first that I see, blue it will be. Now, again, we're going to be working with Japanese silver leaf. Very, very different from regular gold leaf. I showed you before that it's brittle, and that most of the time you work with it with your fingers or with tweezers or something like that. So that's literally what I'm going to be doing. Japanese silver colored leaf has been color treated and then coated, and it's kind of this weird stuff, but it's really, really beautiful to work with. When I first started working with it, I knew nothing about it, and I did a live with it, the first packet I'd ever opened, and I was trying to use a tip, and people were stunned that I actually got it on a gilder's tip, because it's heavy and it's brittle and it doesn't want to work the way regular leaf does. So I've just kind of played with it and experimented with it on my own to figure out what works best. But as you can see, it's flaking off. It's not like the other gold leaf that would come in and curl, or it's not like a real, regular silver that does, aluminum that just sort of wraps around stuff, and then you have to work aggressively to get it off. No, this stuff fractures off. You see what I mean? Look how it just breaks off there in little shattered bits. It's very different to handle. It's like, it's the difference between plastic wrap and a piece of plastic sheeting that's been left out in the sun. And that's the best way I can describe it. Think about a sheet of acetate that had been left out in the sun and how brittle that could become. Compared to, say, saran wrap, which is super malleable and soft and bendy. And this actually cleans off a little easier just because it does do that breaking thing. And you can see the skewings look different. If you look here, you can see gold. Let me move my camera around a little bit, open it up a little. Here you can see a piece of gold skewing, and it's all flipped around and twisted. And then you see the Japanese colored silver, and it's little broken off bits. But it is super cool to work with. Honestly, I don't have a real supplier. I ordered a bunch of this from the UK. I don't even know if Sep Leaf carries this. But I ordered some from a woman off of Etsy. I mean, I order it wherever I find it when I need it. And so I always have little bits and pieces of stuff floating around. Okay, let's wipe that off. And then I'm going to take some my damp paper, my damp cheesecloth here. It'll help me gather this up because this is going to fly everywhere. It's already going in my lap even with the damp cloth. Okay, so now you've had an example of the difference in the way things work with Japanese colored silver leaf versus gold leaf. I think they're both beautiful. I think I applied the leaf size better on this one. I think I've got a little touch-ups to do here. But I really like how they both look very jewel-like. So pretty, so different from the cast iron look that they originally had, that's for sure. If you look at the legs, they look very utilitarian, but now we've made these look like pieces of jewelry. I'm gonna touch up this. We're gonna fix that little bit of gold that's missing, and then we're gonna do the legs. And I don't know what color I'm doing the legs on this one, but I know I'm going to do the legs on this one in gold metallic powder. Once this is all cured up, dry enough for me, I will seal it with our Whitson's Universal Lacquer. I will do the cleaning on this now that I don't have to worry about the mica powder rubbing off in the cleaning because it's well adhered with the size. It will hold up to it beautifully, and then once this is sealed up, I will not have to worry about discoloration over time. I have not tested out this leaf outside, so I cannot tell you how UV it is, because I usually keep stuff like this in my house. I usually save outside for real gold, to be honest. But maybe I'll do a test. I'll put this outside, see if it fades. I can't tell you that. I'm not the manufacturer of this product, and I don't sell this product. All right, everybody, let me flip the camera up. I'll check questions. Yep, you're getting my armpit. Sorry about that. All right, open the camera. All right. Okay, everybody wanted blue, so I did well. But look, I mean, seriously, look how beautiful these are. I am so pleased with these. I am so happy with my hook, which, by the way, is already starting to clear. And you can see the gold is really, really lovely on here. I'm very happy with all of these projects that I've got, and we're going to work on the Green Man another time. Excuse me. I think my voice is finally starting to give out. I appreciate all your time here. Let me check one more second for questions. Dana, thank you. Okay, so you've seen me using the products that you've seen me talking about. If you're on our email list, you've been getting emails about this. Obviously, if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you've been seeing me post about these. These are the Dynamic Duo. This is our Roberson's acrylic gold size. This is Whitson's Universal Lacquer for leaf and metals. Two amazing products. I cannot speak highly of them enough. I did not bring them into the studio until I had done a full test on them myself. I was very excited by what I had first seen, but they have been tested by me hard. I can tell you right now, you're gonna love these. And if you have any questions about these products, of course, you can post them here. You can send me a message. You can email me, pick up the phone and call me. I'm always here to help you. All right, everyone, have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.